Take a deep breath in. सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Gently open your eyes. If you can't see me, then I can't see you. And if you're like, yeah, that's the point, then that's fine. But I would like to see everybody. So if you can adjust your chairs so you don't have to crane your neck, that would be good. All right. So we'll do, perfect. So we'll do a lead and repeat of the first verse, and then we'll go to the second verse. We're done with the first, but just for our practice. Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam. Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam. Karma svanushthiyatam. Karma svanushthiyatam. Tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. Kamye matistyajyatam. Kamye matistyajyatam. Papogaf paridhuyatam bhavasukhe. Gaf paridhuyatam bhavasukhe. Dosho nusandhiyatam. Dosho nusandhiyatam. Atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagruhat. Atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagruhat. Turnam vinirgamyatam. Turnam vinirgamyatam. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Dridhadhiyatam. Shantyadif parichiyatam dridhataram. Shantyadif parichiyatam dridhataram. Karmashu santyajyatam. Karmashu santyajyatam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidinam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidinam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Brahmaikakshamarthyatam shrutishiraha. Brahmaikakshamarthyatam shrutishiraha. Vakyam samakarnyatam. Vakyam samakarnyatam. That was a tongue twister. Okay, we'll get better at it. It just takes time. All right. So last week we spoke about the first line. Sangha satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Seek companionship with those of wisdom. Now, it's not just about, okay, I'm just going to hang out with those kind of people all day. I'm just going to chill around them. I thought this really funny reel where a husband is doing puja, and it is said that the wife, all they have to do during puja is hold on to the hand, right? Like this part of the hand of the husband. That's how you do the puja. So the husband's doing puja, the wife does that. Then the husband is doing arti, wife does that. 2-3 times it happens. Then the wife is cooking, the husband does that. The wife is cooking, the husband does that. I was like, that's a good one. So here, Sangat Satsu, it's not just, following around and being there. It's actually understanding what that guru or that satpurusha is thinking, why they do what they do, right? And the intentions, basically, behind what they're doing and emulating that. First of all, admiring that, and then you emulate it. So that's the beauty of ashramam living, right? Some people say, why do you have to go all the way to an ashram, that too in India? It's so hot, Mumbai, it's so muggy. When you are living in proximity with a guru, you see everything. You see them on their tough days, you see them on their happy days, you see them on their busy days, you see them where they go to they talk to somebody who has lost somebody in 1 minute, and the next minute they're congratulating someone on a baby, right? Things are happening so fast around them, and you watch how they change, right? You watch how they adapt to the situations. That sthiratva, the even-mindedness, is in action. And you can learn so much from that, right? So when we say sangha satsu vidhiyata, when you're around those gurus, when you're around satsanga, it's not like, hey, good for you. No, it's, okay, how are you able to do that? Let me learn from that. Let me be better. Let me figure out some tips and tricks. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes they have unique tips not to be tempted by things. I don't know how many of you have heard about Mahaperiyava, but he is known as God incarnate, right? And he was the Pithadipati of Kanchi Matha. So we have different mathas in India, and this is one of them. So when you go to bhikshas, you eat what the host gives you. You generally don't say anything, good or bad. And it's not to be taken as an insult, it's just how sadhus are supposed to be. It's their rules. One time, this Kanchi Periyava, he went to someone's home for a bhiksha, and he had some vegetable. And he's like, man, I had this vegetable when I was a child. That's all that Amma needed, right? The next time he went to bhiksha there, same vegetable was made. The next time, same vegetable was made, and he noticed, okay. Then he stopped bhikshas for some time, and what he would do is go to the goshala there, and he would eat the gomayam is a Sanskritam term, but it's the excrement of the cow, right, to cleanse his tongue. And his shishya came, Swami, what are you doing? And he's like, my tongue tasted a rusi, some temptation. And at this time and this role, that's not what it's supposed to do. I'm training the tongue. So we won't go that far, I'm assuming. Most of us won't. But because he was a sannyasi and he was that dedicated to his path and he was that vigilant, right? Some of us, we go in somebody's house and they make something, you know what I like. What do I do for the menu? Are, you need to ask. Right? We're so ready to indulge, but I'm not making it. They're doing it for, either way, it's an indulgence, right? This Kanchi Periyava. See, these are the small things that you kind of notice when you're with satsanga. You watch how people control. Because just because you're a sannyasi doesn't mean they're all gone, right? By mistake. And he didn't even say he liked it. He said it reminded him of his childhood, that's all. But that's all we need, right? Because we're always looking to please the elders, please, the sannyasis that come. So at that point, he was vigilant enough to say, okay, I need to curb it, which means everybody's always has to be vigilant. It's not like once you wear certain color clothes or you live in a certain place, all these temptations go away. Vasanas, oh man. I don't know if you have seen, kids these days are all on iPads, but the whack-a-mole, have you guys ever heard or played the whack-a-mole? That is vasanas. It's not like you make a beautiful list on amazing stationery of these are my 25 vasanas at the age of 20, and you do an Instagram reel about that, 20, okay, and you write a book about that, and you become this famous person, and you're done. Every year of my life, starting from 20 till 40, I'm going to tackle one vasana, and I'm done. That's not how vasanas work. It's like whack-a-mole. And different vasanas or tendencies within us have different strength and power over us because we've let them over janmas. So some vasanas, it's given in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, some vasanas are like smoke. You see smoke, you just go like this, it's gone. You don't need to get entrenched in it and indulge in it and suffer, nothing. It's just, I don't like that. Okay, cool, done. And I think some vasanas, there were 3, right? One is the smoke, dhum I think. The second one was the mirror, a dusty mirror. Some you need to kind of wipe, right? You got to train yourself. Okay, you tempted me last time. These are the measures I'm going to put in place, the tools I'm going to use to not do that, right? For some people, waking up early is easy. Right? For some people, you need to get used to it. You need a job to push you. You need a child to push you. You need some responsibility to push you to wake up early, right? Because if you don't have anything to do, why not sleep for another hour, right? Who's going to stop me? And then some vasanas are like, it said, I think, the fetus in the womb, that it takes a lot of effort, right, for us to kind of get out of our system, right? It takes years and decades of effort for me to change this one aspect about me. Again, each one of us, it's different. For some people, it's pleasing others, right? Oh man, I was born a people pleaser and it's so hard. Boundaries, right? Because why is this stuff important? It's not just self-empowerment tools. It's not just that. It's because values, remember we talked about. When I have principles and values, it's so important that I trust myself. And I believe in myself. Because if I don't, then those principles and values will get stomped all over by me. Nobody else has to say, hey, that's a funny thing. Why are you doing that? I myself will stop doing it, right? And this doesn't come from a place of judgment, okay? Everybody do what they need. But it's an example of me growing up here. My mother always had her bangles, her Mangal Sutra, her, bindi, everything. And I watched that growing up. But we grew up in the South. At a certain point, it was told to us as a community, it's safer for you to not do that. Security-wise, it's safer for you to hide your identity a little bit, right? It's nothing else, just for safety purposes. It's not about your belief or the strength of your belief or any judgment on that. So then that started happening. And then my grandmother visited from India. She wouldn't budge. She had her thing and nobody convinced her otherwise. And every morning she would oil my hair and put flowers in my hair. And this was in middle school. So then I go to school. Friends would be like, oh, you got something on your face. Are you bleeding? Okay. They'd wipe it off. Then, you got something in your hair. Okay, they'd take it off. And then, man, what's that stuff in your hair? It's so sticky. Right? It happens. And then after a while, it's like, okay, maybe I should just take it off before I get to school, right? Because then nobody else has to deal with it, right? Again, it's not a reflection of whether I believe I'm a Hindu or not, whether I do puja every morning or not. It's not what it's about. It's just about, I didn't know why I was doing it. I was told by society it's a safety thing, right? And I'm a kid, I'm not gonna take risks, right? And ignorance, right? I wanna fit in, right? It's middle school. And my habits changed. My values, my principles were not understood by me, as is the case with most kids, right? Now fast forward, as me serving in Austin as a brahmacharini and teaching a bunch of kids, and I would try and go into the classrooms for the last 15 minutes of every adult satsang, I'd run into a classroom, right? Every day I'd try a different classroom to kind of get to know the kids and the teachers. And I got very close to a family, middle schoolers, 7th graders, smack dab in the middle. And they were like, oh, and they called me by a different name, but they'd come to me and, so Atiji, you will not believe what happened in my class. My teacher was talking about this, caste and this and that, and we told her that that's not what we believe, and we showed her some book that we found in class, and then she said that we should do a presentation on what our beliefs are as Hindus. So I want to go over the presentation with you. Is that okay? And inside I'm crying, right? Inside I'm crying because these kids have had the opportunity and the blessing to build their belief system and values based off of what they've learned around them. And their school was majority not the normative population, right? Not the homogenous population we're used to. So they felt comfortable speaking up, right? And they were twins, so they had each other. They had backup in the same class. So things change, right? As decades change, demographics change, our own understandings change. Maybe it's not how we're surrounded. Maybe it's just us, Maybe we start to question a little bit more and say, well, actually, why do I have to sit for 4 hours for this puja? What's the point? Where is this puja even from, right? And if you have the shraddha and you're following it from day one, that's fine. Like I said, there's people like my grandmother in all times of life. Right? And there's people like me when I was in middle school, and there's people like the kids I mentored, right? So the reason I say this story is because sangha satsu, sometimes our surroundings dictate how we behave. And if it's positive, it can really change the trajectory of our values and our lifestyle. Now, Bhagavataha bhaktir dhrida diyatam. There may be situations where you feel, no, I still don't, want to follow certain things. That's fine, but the one thing we can hopefully hold on to is Bhagavan. Trust in God. Because at the end of the day, if we can't have enough confidence in ourselves, we need to at least believe that Bhagavan will have our back. We need somebody to have our back, if not ourselves. So, Bhagavataha bhaktihi dridha dhiyatam. Make sure it's firm faith, shraddha in Bhagavan. Shantyadi parichiyatam dridhataram. Oh, again you have dridha. Again, strong. Nothing is chill mode here. Everything is intense. Everything has to be dridha. And everything has to be quick. See, this is not impatience from a place of like, man, you guys will never learn. This is impatience from the place of the guru's compassion. Saying, how much longer will you suffer, my dear? Hurry up. Free yourself from this cycle. So that's where this intensity is building from. It's building from compassion. And again, when you're surrounded by gurus or mentors with sat, right, sattvic mentors, you'll see how many people come to them with problems and how many people with good news and positivity. Most of the time, they're surrounded by negativity. So it kind of makes sense that they get impatient because they see people suffer day in, day out. And they have the solution, which is you're not this body, mind, intellect. But you can't say that. Right? I think the first satsang I told you all, my husband and I were talking about pregnancy and how we want our plan and this and that. And he said, should I just tell you you're Brahman when you're having the baby? And I said, don't you dare. Right? That's not the time and place. It's all bhajan time for me. You sing bhajans, you sing Krishna bhajans, you play some, Spotify, YouTube Krishna bhajans, I don't care. But my brain isn't able to handle it at the time. Some people can. I'm not there. Right? So, seeing this surrounded by the suffering, right? Seeing the suffering around them, these sannyasis, these gurus, these rishis, these satjana, they get a little impatient because they want us to have a happier life. They want us to get out of this. They want us to breathe easier every day because they realize the only people choking us is us. This is one thing I'm still very uncomfortable with, which is watching people hurt themselves. And I've been in situations where people have come to me after they've tried to hurt themselves or things like that, and it's the most difficult thing for me even today, especially young children. And I'm working on it, but to see them suffer. But the toughest thing is sitting there saying, I'm there for you. Next time, just text. Next time, call. And I know even though it's difficult, it's easier as an outsider than somebody related to them. Because I can't even imagine doing that for my own kids. Because I would feel so much more attached. Right? That's why it's important to have satsanga. Different people that can be there for us at different times. A great question came up at the end of last satsang. Someone came and asked me, nobody is good all the time. I'm not good all the time. So how do you decide? You're right. We're all works in progress, right? And maybe the guru yells at you at some point. The guru can crack as well. But can I see the goodness from where that comes from, right? And seeking satsanga within a community. I can't tolerate certain things that you can in a friend, right? For me, if I hear a loud voice and anger, I turn into a child. It's something that I have, a trauma kind of sets in. It's a trigger for me. But my husband, he grew up around loud noises and yelling, and he has no problem with friends who are loud, right? So for each of us, finding that satsanga will look different. Your friends might not be my friends. Your satsanga might not be mine. But ultimately, is it leading me to a more peaceful life, right? So now we'll look at this next verse. Shantyadi parichiyata. Cultivate the virtues such as shanti and so on. Shanti, adi. Adi is usually etc. So what is this etc.? There's different ways to interpret this, okay? So you can have Shanti and Danti as given in Gurudev's commentary here. Shanti is controlling the mind. So internal work. So trying to keep the mind from running out. Don't do that, right? Peace that comes from keeping the mind inside. Then Danti. Danti is controlling the sense stimuli from the outer world into our mind. So we talked about the chocolate cake example, right? You can take the chocolate cake away, right? That way you get zero stimulation from outside temptations. But also internally, Shanti, you work on the mind level. So it can mean those two things. It can also mean virtues given in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. There are two places that you have an entire list of virtues, okay? One place is chapter 13, verse 8 to 12. So if you're interested, you can go look at that one. It has 20 qualities for a happy life, right? And then you have chapter 16 Daivi and Asuric Sampatti, which means qualities of the divine, and this is the divine and the decadent. Here you have the divine and the devilish. So basically, we don't know how to translate Daivi and Asuri, right? Asura Sampatti, qualities of asuras. You're like, oh, tell me about that. Everybody tells you to be, honest and this and that, but what do these bad people do? Well, you have actually a list of both given here. But before we look, and this is a list we're going to look at, okay? Because Shanti is in here along with others, and there's 26 here. And Gurudev says, before he starts this chapter, in the introduction, the anxiety of the Gita is not to classify mankind as good and bad. That's not it. To promise a paradise for the good and to curse the bad into endless damnation in hell. That's not it. The qualities enumerated here are the result of scientific observations made in the physical, mental, and intellectual behaviors when life, the knower, consciousness, pulsates through a disciplined field and an undisciplined field of experience. This is Gurudev's writing. One sentence can be 4 lines. So the purpose is not to eternally damn us, right? And the purpose isn't to classify ourselves or others. You are 80% Daivi and maybe the rest of it Asuri, right? Where are you on the spectrum? You're 20% this Daivi and mostly 80% Asuric. No, that's not the purpose of this. This is all for our own improvement, our own reflection, our own understanding. I have to reflect, and I do this whenever, and I thank you guys so much for coming to class, because you being here means I'm here, and me being here means I have to study. And there will be some Sundays where I'm like, man, I have class today. Just like you all, right? It was a tough week. I didn't even sleep last night, this, that. But I'm forced to be here, which means I'm forced to remember that I am not this body, mind, intellect equipment who doesn't want to be here, right? Who wants to be undisciplined, who wants to sleep in, who has 10 excuses why. Oh, I'm a new mother. Okay, it's been a year. I'm going to play that card for as long as I can, right? So thank you for being here. But also, I hope that you're taking the time to reflect as you go home too. And when I reflect, I catch myself. Oh, last week I got irritated for no reason. Why? What was the trigger? Where did I feel my ego hurt? Because it's all from the ego. At some point, I felt insulted, disrespected. Oh, my time, my energy wasn't appreciated. Something that triggers me. And that's why I said what I said. Because we're still a machine. This body is a machine. Nothing happens randomly. Everything happens with a purpose. Good things and bad. We just need to investigate, right? If something is happening with your car, you won't be like, it's just moody today. No, what's going on? Do I need to change the, washer, what is it called? Washer fluid? Do I need to change the oil? Or do I need to call Tesla people so they can fix it for me? Do I need to check the tire pressure? You got to have a list. You need to run down and say, okay, what is going on with this car? Unless you're like, it's an old car, we'll take it as long as it goes. Then you're just chugging. That's a very dangerous life you're living. You never know when you're going to be stranded and have to call AAA. But the same thing is true for our body, yet we take that risk with the body. Some days the body does this, the mind does this, and we say, it's okay. Ignore it. And then At some point, it'll break down. And then you still ignore it. You're like, okay, I'm done breaking down. Time to move on. I don't have time to take care of this. But this machine needs to be taken care of and be well-oiled. Is the problem with the body? Am I eating enough sattvically? Am I sleeping enough? Most problems can be solved with sleep and food, at least for me. My husband figured that out very quickly. Most of the time, it's easy to figure it out. Then you get deeper, emotional. Okay. Then it's also, sometimes it's easy to figure that out too, because your body gives you some signals. I'm crying, like there's some, I'm shaking, my stomach hurts. There's something that, we get some sensation. Intellectual, that's the toughest. Because that pointed statement or that ego being hurt, that sits there, it festers, it becomes resentment, and then eventually it comes out. And where did this come from? And somebody's asking you, where did this come from? You're like, I don't know. Where did it come from? I thought everything was going fine. I thought the project was, we're heading towards the deadlines properly. And then you think back, oh, it's because I gave the same idea 2 meetings ago and nobody listened to me. And somehow this person gives the idea today and it's considered the best idea. Oh, that's where it was. Darn Sean. Sean should have kept his mouth shut. I'm assuming nobody here is named Sean. very scared to use certain names. One time I used a name for an example, but luckily I knew the family, and I was like, Sari Mahishi. So, this machine needs to be taken care of. Then only we can talk about these virtues. If I tell you be honest, how, what, where, when, where do I go? But if I reflect, what's the thing I need to work on? Is it honesty? Because generally that's not a problem for me because I barely talk to people. I'm an introvert. I don't need to worry about being honest. Am I being honest with Bhagavan? That's a different story. Am I being honest with myself? Okay, right? So that's why reflection is important. That's where I'm going to with these examples. When we go home, we reflect what's important to me. And if nothing in the satsang resonated with you, then it didn't. That's fine. Maybe the next week something will, right? Because it might not be something you're struggling with, right? Or maybe later on you'll think, oh, that satsang, something happened where we talked about this, now it's coming in handy. That usually happens for me, where I'll be like, I'm fine, life is good. And then something, oh, I'm not the body. This is where I need to use it. So here, we'll look at some of the divine qualities, okay? You don't have to repeat, I'll just chant this first verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Danam Damascha Yajñascha Svadhyayasya Tapa Arjavam Svadhyayastapa Arjavam Svadhyayaha Tapa Arjavam. So I could have cut it or continued it. Oh well. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi. The first one that's given here. So remember there's 26. The first one given here, Abhaya. I think we're only going to get through that today. What is Abhaya? Anybody? It's local languages, dialects. Absence of fear. Absence of fear. Bhaya, fear. Abhaya, absence of fear. I think Latin prefix is usually to indicate opposition as well, right? O or an. SAT. See? I studied for SATs decades ago. It came in handy today. Okay. So, abhaya, bhaya. To understand abhaya, we have to understand bhaya. And why is it the first one? Because it's usually the source of all of our other problems. When we are scared, the root cause is usually ignorance. lack of knowledge equals fear. And this can go all the way to the most subtle things to the basic things. Fear of the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen, therefore I'm scared. Oh, but there's some adrenaline junkies, The fear of the unknown is what gets them through. They'll just want to jump in. That's a phase in life. Yavana dehe, when you have that youthful body. Then it becomes jarjara dehe. Then you start to get scared, right? You get scared when you find out that you have limitations. You're not invincible. That comes with knowledge. You see little kids, toddlers, running around like they're never gonna get hurt. They'll jump off here, there, break a... She's less than 10 years old and she already has like 2 chipped teeth. I'm like, why? Like how? Oh, I just felt like jumping off a tree. Okay. No fear. Because there's ignorance. And you know what? Ignorance can be so cute. The naivety can be so cute when the kids are younger, right? That can be seen as innocence. But give it another 5-10 years, they jump out of a tree. Why? You know better, right? You should know that this would hurt you. Therefore, don't do it. So when we are scared, we fall into traps of other negative tendencies. Here, we start with bhayam. If we are scared, the purity in our heart also goes. Sattva samshuddhi, purity of heart. Jnana yoga vyavasthitaha, steadfastness in the yoga of knowledge. Again, there's no knowledge, there will be fear. Then we talk about dhanam. So it says almsgiving, but the important distinction that's said here for almsgiving or dhanam is that it's not that the giver is better than the receiver. I think that is a really harmful notion, and it comes from ignorance and fear, right? I am better than you. Maybe one day I'll lose everything, and I don't want to end up like you. So let me, stuff all my punya karma, and then I'll give you. Okay, I do this dhanam, and I'll be safe. In chapter 18, I believe, there's a chapter about sattva, rajas, tamas, and it talks about sattvic giving, tamasic giving, rajasic giving, right? Different types of giving. I don't like the word charity. I'm going to stick with dhanam, okay? Just charity has that internal meaning of... Anyway, so here, dhanam is not giving out of fear or a sense of needed security. If I give, then I'll be okay. Oneness. I'm giving to me. That's it. I am giving to me. And many times, if you spent enough time in the space of public service, you get more than you give. That's just how it beautifully works. When you're sattvic in your giving, you receive so much knowledge, so much love and compassion, and you will be surprised. Those with nothing end up giving you the most. Because our definition of something and nothing, wealth and poverty, right now, most of us in America, according to CDC when it was well funded, most of us are suffering from a poverty, right, of connection and belonging. Loneliness is actually the biggest pandemic, right? It's not just America, but you want to call it an epidemic, you can. But loneliness is the problem. I'm going to wait because I'm getting distracted. My mind is not focused. Okay, thank you. All right, so dhanam, not from fear. Remember, it's all going to tie back to fear. Not from fear, but from seeing that oneness. I am, you are that same consciousness. I'm giving to me. I'm no better, you're no better, I'm no less, and you're no less. Then, damascha yajñascha. Dhamma, control of senses. An inability to control my senses. When I am peaceful, I can say, nothing bothers me. People can come in and out, it won't bother me. Because that Dhamma is strong. I can stay focused on the people here, on the text, and my flow. But when I am wondering, oh, am I making sense? Is this verse, are we going to finish this verse in time? Is time over? Because I've already seen 4 people look at their watch, right? When those kind of things come into our heads, then you lose, focus, right? There's different fears and anxieties that creep in. Obviously, we're all working. Then, yajna, sacrifice. Gurudev actually calls these satsangs jnana yajnas. Because for him, yajna is the sacrifice of the ahankara, the ego. So yajna can be these grand homas with the homa kundas, right, where the fire rituals happen. But yajna is also me sacrificing this ego at the altar of knowledge. This ego is getting chopped as the sacrifice. So here, someone who practices yajna. In this yuga, it is said that puja and bhakti is enough. You don't have to do a homam every day. But there are people even today that practice doing actual rituals, homams every day, and puja every day. We can practice at least bhakti every day. Bhagwan's name, there's Navada Bhakti. There's 9 different ways according to Nadaji. There's also 11 in Bhakti Sudha, right? So there's different types of bhaktis, and we'll get into that next time, I think. Here, yajñascha, swadhyaya, tapa, arjavam. We'll finish these 3. Swadhyaya, study of the Shastras. What we're doing here, whether we're awake or asleep, at least we're trying. We're here, right? So, swadhyaya. Tapa, austerity. Oh, I have to grow dreadlocks and not cut my hair? Is that tapa? Or I have to not eat for days at a time and become a skeleton? Is that tapa? That's usually what we think tapa is, right? Tapa means burning, right? But what are we burning? Vasanas, right? So tapa is anything that helps us burn our vasanas. It doesn't have to be the traditional tapa of tapasvis, of being in a forest and sitting without food, without water. That is also tapas in a different way. So we pick what is tapas for us, and we can still do that every day. Then, tapa, arjavam, straightforwardness. If I am insecure or not confident because of my fear, I will think one thing, say one thing, which is different from that one thing, and do one thing, which is different from those 2 one things. My body, mind, action, right? Body is the action, mind is the thought, and the words, all of these things, they all have to be aligned. If I truly believe that when I wake up early in the morning, it's good for me, intellect tells me it is, then I put it into practice, not just saying it, I put it into practice, and I'm happy about it. I don't struggle through it. I'm not forcing myself. It becomes a discipline. That is arjavam. I'm being straightforward. If I tell you all today, you should not eat this, this, and this, and I go home and that's the first thing I eat, right? Another word is a hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is the most subtle eater of our self-confidence. When I am hypocritical, I stop trusting myself. It's not about how I am perceived to others. Forget that. But how I am perceived to myself. So if I take up something, the purpose is, as we look at these qualities, to figure out what we want to take up and do it in doses that are manageable. Because I can give you all 26 and you can go home and try to do all 26 and I can do that. I can go home and try to do all 26, but I will be frustrated. I don't know about you, right? As we go through these, Shantyadi, 26 of them, see if there are a few that you want to work on. In those few that we work on, so let's say you want to work on Abhayam, right? I'm going to jump off of a plane. I'm going to skydive because I want to get over my fear of heights. Is that improving my life? Some of us have done it. I can tell you I felt like throwing up afterwards. It definitely didn't improve my life. But you know what it gave me? Street cred. Right? I could walk around and my friends, oh, have you done that? Oh, yeah. Oh, so cool. And then that gets you where? I mean, that was a very rajasic sukham, right? That's what it is. There's no sattva there. It's all rajasic sukham. So when I'm looking at Abhayam, we can look a little bit deeper. What is it? Vulnerabilities, right? Where am I scared of being myself? Where am I scared of being dismissed or disrespected? Where am I scared of not sticking to my virtues? Because every morning I wake up and I tell myself, today I'm not going to lie, today I'm not going to lie, today I'm not going to lie. And then the week goes, pick up the phone call, and then somebody says, oh yeah, they're talking about some property they bought somewhere. And then I'm like, yeah, we're also thinking about buying a property. Yeah, I'll put the phone down. We're not thinking of, when did we think about buying a property? That didn't even come in my dream, but it came out of my mouth. Right? Those kind of subtle insecurities and vulnerabilities. It's because I was trying to compare, because I was feeling less than. Right? If you really are, fine. If it's necessary to share that information, fine. If you're comparing realtors. But sometimes we just say things. Oh, but it's a white lie. Where is it rooted in? Insecurity about myself. Right? So that's where I think we will have to stop today. We have seen Abhaya, Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi, Dhanam, Dhamma, Yajna, Swadhyaya, Tapa, Arjavam. There's 9 of them. I request myself and all of you to see if there's something that you want to kind of explore this week. Just pick one. I know we're already doing a drive to, collect canned foods or some goods for people. That's a part of this dhanam. What is my intention? Am I having a conversation with my child about what dhanam means when I'm doing it? It could be some small thing too, right? So it could be that, it could be yajna, anyone. Just pick one that speaks to you. Hopefully one of them speaks to you. Otherwise, there's not much Daivi Sampatti surrounding us. There might be a little bit more Asuri Sampatti. But hopefully we'll find one. So we'll stop here and we'll do Purnamadaha. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om